The skippers and the crews incredibly proud of the work that they've done in getting the boats and themselves ready ahead of this incredible 40,000 mile epic adventure around the world. This parade of sail, we'll see them coming down from the cruise terminal. They head down to Duke's Buoy, then to Pluckington Cardinal Buoy, round the Liverpool Yacht Club inflatable yacht mark, and then back up to the cruise terminal as well. The RNLI come and clear the way in front of them. The helicopter above is getting some fantastic aerial shots, which is being streamed right now on the Clipper YouTube channel. You can follow the race all the way around the world, no matter what time of day or night these teams arrive. The Clipper race team are on the pontoons and streaming the welcomes live. So if you have loved ones on board when they arrive in Punta del Este or in Cape Town or in any of the 3 stops in Australia, the 2 stops in China or Seattle or New York or Derry, 24 hours a day they're being followed, and you'll be able to see them live on all the social media run by Clipper Round the World race. So here they come then, the 12 identical yachts, 1 professional skipper on board, and the other crew members, 20, 21, 22 crew members, many of whom have never sailed before taking on the mandatory training. Let me tell you, the oldest person taking part in the race is Per-Henrik Nordin. He's Swedish. He is to be taking part on hotelplanner.com. He's 76 years young, and he is taking on this challenge of taking on one of the legs of the Clipper Round the World race. 76, ladies and gentlemen. And Angela Hancock is 71. She's British, and she's on board UNICEF. 712 crew members, 712 different stories behind why they're doing this. Many of them raising money for their chosen charities, and also the Clipper charity as well, the official charity, which is UNICEF. So we're on the parade of sail here. Liverpool 2018, proudly carrying the name of the host city here, followed by Team Garmin, hotelplanner.com. Another new name to the Clipper race family is Team Greenings. If you're supporting one or more team members on board one of these boats, maybe you're waiting to join one of the boats later in the race. Dare to Lead coming past us now on King's Parade. I promise you they can hear you from the shore on the boat, so make some noise, keep making some noise. It means the world to these teams to know that you're supporting them, and you're going to be following them not only out of the Mersey but also round the world as well. This is not an event that anybody takes on lightly. Team Visit Seattle. They are going to get an incredible welcome into the city of Seattle once they've the teams have completed their Pacific leg from Qingdao into Seattle. It's one of the mega legs, a huge ocean crossing across the Pacific. Visit Seattle, of course, being skippered by the youngest ever skipper in the history of the Clipper Around the World race, Nikki Henderson, who's from Guildford. Followed by our second female skipper. First time this race has had 2 female skippers. Sanya Serenity Coast, skippered by Wendy Tuck. Wendo, who took part in last year's race. She was a skipper on the 15-16 race. An almighty force of a skipper. An absolute hero in her home country of Australia, and she'll be guiding Sanya Serenity Coast around the globe, and expecting a phenomenal welcome into Sanya when the team arrives there. These boats are now on their third circumnavigation of the globe. Each time they've been round, the name PSP Logistics has been on the hull, and here they are again. PSP Logistics, based in Hampshire. The team skippered by Roy Taylor. Team Qingdao, skippered by Chris, a German skipper. Welcome to Great Britain is skippered by Andy Burns. He's from Skegness, and he'll be taking the name Great Britain around the world. Here we have another new name to the Clipper family, Team NASDAQ. And we have some Team NASDAQ supporters here. Doesn't she look great?
She looks utterly amazing.
And you're going to be joining the team?
I certainly am.
Whereabouts?
Punta del Este, wherever that is.
What's your name?
Alison.
And what made you want to do this race?
Insanity.
You'll be the next person on board. Excellent. And followed on by UNICEF, who are the official charity of the Clipper Round the World race. If you're supporting anybody on UNICEF, make some noise. Give them a round of applause now. The boat's now just making a turn around Pluckington Cardinal Buoy. Jim Connolly is from Race Control Liverpool. Which mark are they going to be turning next then, Jim?
They'll be turning round a mark which will be laid probably 200 or 300 yards across from Pluckington, back down the river. Because remember, they'll be turning into quite a strong running tide.
You cannot describe to somebody the force of the tide here if you haven't seen it for yourself. It's probably one of the strongest anywhere.
It is indeed, yes. 2 hours into the flood, we'll be looking at probably 4.5 knots, which is fast.
So those of you down outside the arenas, the Echo Arena, now getting a great view of the parade of sail coming past you. Thousands of people have so far undertaken the challenge. At the end of this race, it'll be 4,700 people have taken part in some way in a Clipper Round the World race. And it's a series that was started just over 20 years ago now by Sir Robin Knox-Johnston, who was the first man to sail single-handed non-stop around the world. That was less than 50 years ago. 50 years ago, nobody had ever sailed around the world non-stop single-handed. Nobody thought it could be done. And next year marks the 50th anniversary of the start of the Golden Globe race, which Sir Robin Knox-Johnston went on to win on board Sue Haley. The anticipation of the crews on board. They're just like a coiled spring. They just desperately want to now get to the start line, get those engines off, get sailing, head out towards the Irish Sea, and then off down to Uruguay on what is the longest first leg ever in the history of the Clipper race. The equivalent, if you follow sailing, you will know that 2 weeks ago today, the Fastnet race started from Cowes around the Fastnet Rock in Southern Ireland to Plymouth. This first leg is 10 times as long. But when these boats come back in next July, it'll feel like they've been nowhere yet. The Round the Worlders will have had an adventure of a lifetime. Every single person will have a tale to tell for the rest of their lives, having competed in the Clipper Round the World race. We have Greenings, we have Dare to Lead, we have Visit Seattle, we have Sanya Serenity Coast, we have PSP Logistics, lining their bow on port side, Qingdao. Welcome to Great Britain. Andy Burns, the skipper of the Great Britain team. Team Nasdaq, again lining their bow, looking resplendent in their crew kit. And a Mexican wave as well. They can hear you. Team UNICEF, spreading the word around the world of the great work that the UNICEF charity does, supporting every child that needs the support. The official charity of the Clipper Round the World race. 12 identical teams, 12 identical boats, 12 skippers, each of whom wearing an Elliott Brown watch for the duration of the race. If you ever doubted whether a watch could live up to any sort of conditions like washing up or anything, on the last edition of this race, they fixed 2 watches to the masts of 2 of the boats. They still worked when they got back. That tells you everything you need to know about those watches. And there is a special limited edition Clipper Race Elliott Brown watch which is available as well. All the details on the Elliott Brown website. Marco Polo is the cruise ship that's alongside at the moment. Heading off in luxury. They won't need to work for these crews heading off on the first leg of this race, 6,000 miles until they set foot on land once again in Uruguay, and they will be working 24 hours a day. Many of them had an early start this morning. This is their last early morning call for getting on for 6 weeks now, because they're on 24-hour watch now. 4 hours on, 4 hours off. If anything needs doing on board the boat, they have to do it. There is nobody that they can call on. All their food for the next 6 weeks is on board. All their clothing is on board. They're heading now into the southern hemisphere, so they'll be crossing the equator. And for anybody who's crossing the equator for the very first time, there is a ceremony that takes place, which, should we say, involves fish, which you wouldn't want to eat. "41 nationalities taking part in the race this year. For the first time, we have representatives from Mauritius. Julio is joining for Leg 2. He'll be on his way to Uruguay in the next couple of weeks. He'll be on board Visit Seattle. James McPhee is going all the way around the world. He is on board Liverpool 2018 right now, and he is from the Cayman Islands. Susanna is taking part in legs 3 and 8. And Susanna is from the Czech Republic. First time the Czech Republic has been represented by a crew member in the Clipper race. 712 crew members in total on this race. 514 males, 198 females. 337 occupations. We have carpenters, we have teachers, we have students, we have airline pilots, investors, farmers, geologists, firefighters, nurses, doctors, conservationists, scientists, politicians are taking part in the race this year. Engineers, directors, photographers, builders, train drivers, designers. There is a yoga master on board. He's popular. Like sitting around doing nothing. A racehorse trainer and a football linesman as well. But it doesn't matter what the occupation, whether you're a company director, managing director, or a student, you are an equal on board one of these Clipper yachts.